There are new calls this morning for more research on gender differences in healthcare. This following a new study that has revealed death rates from heart failure are higher for women than for men. The Canadian Medical Association Journal found that in 2009, there were 89 deaths for every 1,000 women with heart conditions and 88 deaths for every 1,000 men with heart conditions. Though rates have decreased slightly for both genders, in 2013, there were 85 deaths per 1,000 women and only 83 deaths per 1,000 men. The study also found hospitalization rates have increased in women and declined in men. For more, let's turn to Dr. Danielle Martin. She's the Vice President of the Women's College Hospital and a family physician here in Toronto. Dr. Martin joins me now in studio. Thank you for your time on this very interesting study. So what did you take from it?
Well, I think this is this study, which looked at heart failure rates, a death from heart failure, and comparing women and men, found that women are in fact more likely to die. The death rates are higher in women than in men. And this is adding to a mounting body of evidence around sex and gender differences in heart health. And so it's quite consistent with the same issues that we see in heart attacks and strokes, where death rates and disability and recurrent events are also more common in women. And so we're coming to understand that actually sex and gender really matter in heart health, just as they matter in other parts of the healthcare system. And we need to understand better how much of that has to do with patient-related factors and how much of it has to do with the medical care that we're delivering to women, and do we need to start to better tailor our interventions in order to make sure that the care that we're delivering is equitable.
So why are we really only starting to look at this now?
It's interesting, you know, because until the 1990s, it wasn't even really a requirement for women to be included at all in healthcare medical research that was done under the Health Canada rules. And so, in fact, many of the treatments that we use today, not only for heart conditions, but across the board, were never studied in women. And so we're just coming to understand now that probably there are differences in therapeutic effect with the treatments that we use, and we need to better understand how sex and gender influence the way that the body responds to different treatments. There's probably also systemic differences. We know, for example, that women are less likely to be referred to cardiac rehabilitation after a heart attack than men, which is not a medical difference. It's a behavioral difference in the way that the healthcare system functions, and probably relates to systemic bias, you know, that we experience more broadly in our society. And then there are patient-related factors as well, whether they be, you know, genetic or the kinds of additional medical conditions that women might have that might be different from what men have. And so, you know, I think it's just important to start to understand what are those factors at play, so that we can make sure that when we deliver healthcare services to women and to men, that we're giving them the services that are most likely to help them.
You mentioned that at points women aren't being referred. So as a doctor, how important is this type of information for you and your colleagues?
I think it's really important, and in fact some of the earliest research does come out of the cardiac health area, the heart health area, where we first began to understand that women present differently with heart attacks than men do, and that not so long ago, and even probably still to today, women were being underdiagnosed with heart conditions, because the classic sort of Hollywood heart attack doesn't present the same way in women as it does in men. So there's a lot that we're learning, and I think that this area is really ripe for more exploration to better understand what are the needs of women, how do they differ from the needs of men, so that we can deliver the right care, you know, across the gender spectrum.
So how big a change do you think studies like this will be?
I think that this particular study, which is a sort of looks backwards at death rates, doesn't necessarily change much in the moment, but what it does is it begins to raise awareness, and it critically forces us to ask the question, why? Why is it that death rates are higher in women than in men for heart failure? And given that that's the case, you know, what further research needs to be done to understand what we can do about it?
Fascinating topic. I really appreciate your time, Dr. Danielle Martin. Dr. Danielle Martin is the Vice President of the Women's College Hospital and joined me here in studio. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.